Welcome to a journey through the history of art. We will travel along a timeline from the caves to the 19th century. My name is Dr. Jeanne Willette. Let's begin by making the familiar unfamiliar. No single work of art speaks more clearly to the mood that ended the Renaissance than Michelangelo's The Last Judgment, painted on the towering west wall of the Sistine Chapel in 1541. During the span of years between the unveiling of the Sistine ceiling in 1512, a foreign army had marched through Italy, laid siege to Rome, raped, pillaged, looted the city, and ravaged the Renaissance. Painted in the wake of devastation, The Last Judgment was classical in the nudity characteristic of Michelangelo. But post-Renaissance, in its atmosphere of terror, judgment had come, not just to humanity, but also to the established church, long corrupt and decadent. Faced with an existential threat from the Protestants, the Church, now the Roman Catholic Church, had to keep the faithful faithful and to find new converts. The artist was given a new task, not just to fuse ancient wisdom with Christian doctrines, but to present a purified vision of a more spiritual religion. The role of art was now to touch the heart, stir the senses, reach the soul. The artistic tactics were those borrowed from the theater: dramatic scenes, strong storylines, even, or especially, shock and awe. Belatedly, this post-Renaissance era would be divided by art historians into two parts. First, in reaction to the classicism of the Renaissance, was a rather unusual phenomenon which occurred: a generational rebellion against a prevailing style. It was argued that Giotto's more realistic approach to mural painting was less a rejection of his master Cimabue than a response to his patrons' needs. Mannerism was more of an artist's reaction to the art of their predecessors. The literary critic and theorist Harold Bloom would have noted the stylistic swerve away from the tenets of the Renaissance, the logic, the calm, the balance, and the rationality exemplified by Raphael. We refer to this post-Renaissance deconstruction of classicism as Mannerism, to connote the mannered and self-conscious commentary on Renaissance predecessors. Seeds of Mannerism can be discerned in Michelangelo's emotional late sculptures, such as his slaves, and in Raphael's last work, The Transfiguration of 1520. The Mannerist artists, such as Pontormo, undoubtedly with the encouragement of their patrons, selected acid and strange colors, distorted the scale and shape of bodies. Tintoretto portrayed irrational moments in religion, all through deconstructing classicism. In other words, this phase of moving out of and away from the Renaissance was artistically sophisticated, directed more towards connoisseurs rather than to the general public, which would be puzzled by an art that seemed so bizarre and unconventional. Moreover, such self-indulgence was frowned upon by the official institutions that would dictate the rules of art for the rest of the post-Renaissance period. The next 2 centuries would finally be named Baroque, a term indicating an irregular purl, suggesting a shift away from the logical construction of the Renaissance to the more curvilinear and freewheeling dynamic forms of the new style. Like Mannerism, Baroque was based upon the Renaissance, classical foundations, and, like Mannerism, challenged the artist to transform a staid language into an active one, all under the watchful and censorious eyes of the ever-suspicious Catholic Church and the Spanish Inquisition. The brief period of artistic freedom enjoyed by the geniuses of the Renaissance was over. Artists had lost their freedom, but were allowed to keep the gains of individuality. Now, artists were known by name: Caravaggio, Bernini, Gentileschi, Carracci, Correggio, and for their identifiable styles and their inventive approaches. The age of the famous and infamous artists had begun.